everybody, I'm George Ross. I'm here at Last Chance Archery because it's time for another thing a week. Okay, last week I went over how to get your shoulders right. This week I'm going to go in a little bit more detail on how to feel it, because it's hard for a lot of people because we walk around all day like this. But first, I want to remind you, you can get lessons from me at improvemyarchery.com. You can get online lessons. You can come to ALC, Archery Learning Center, and get lessons in person. All you got to do is go to improvemyarchery.com. You can look at my schedule, pick a date or time that makes sense for you, and I'll be there waiting when it's time for your lesson. I can also come to your pro shop or your club and do a full weekend workshop. I can do 20 people. I can make sure everybody gets individual instruction. All you got to do is give me a call or send me a message. I can help you pick a date that's going to work for you, and I'll come to your place and we'll do the full meal deal in your pro shop or local club. So give me a call and we'll figure that out. Last week, we went over, let me use my little string here to show you, how to relax your shoulders so they're in their neutral position, and then anchoring without vertical movement in your elbow. So when you pull the bow back, settle, and then anchor, we do that by raising our wrist to our anchor, right? So now the hard part for most people is they can't feel these trap muscles right here, because everybody walks around all day. We spend our whole day like this, like this, and we always walk around all day like that. So these are notoriously tight in everybody. So ideally, when you're at full draw, these trap muscles right here shouldn't be involved at all. And if someone walked up behind you, it would have the consistency of like raw chicken breast, right? If somebody poked it, right? So if you're having a hard time settling that while you're under pressure, oftentimes it usually just takes someone touching it, right? If you can have your coach or one of the guys in the range, you say, come over here and tap me on top of the shoulder right here. And that makes your brain go, oh, there it is. And you're able to kind of relax it. It'll also help if you stretch a stretchy band and practice relaxing it, because that move is kind of weird and it's a little tentative. Another way to feel that is you can practice moving your shoulder, right? See, I can hinge my elbow without moving my shoulder, and we don't want that. We don't want to anchor first and then move the elbow. We want this to come straight in. So we're going to do all that action with the shoulder blade like this, right? So you can practice that just by holding your arm up like this and practice moving that around. You're not going to do it with hard tension. You're not going to clench anything. You're just changing position, because you're only holding anywhere from 10 to 20 pounds at full draw, depending on what your bow's let off and peak weight is. So you won't feel a clench. You'll just feel a position change. And when it's right, it'll feel like the shoulder blade is kind of flat against your shoulder, and it just sort of moves closer to your spine, right? It's just a very light position change, not something that you feel pinched or hard. So another way to feel that is if you take your two fingers like this and put it right here, right behind your collarbone, and you can touch one finger to your neck and one finger to the outside where your collarbone connects to your shoulder. If you raise your shoulder, you'll see that that space becomes more narrow. And you can connect your brain to the feel of making that longer, making that space bigger. A lot of people can feel it that way. I see Jonathan up there behind the camera going, because he's checking it out too, right? So if you just kind of stand in the mirror and watch yourself and make it small and then make it bigger. And that's the feel that I use when I have my bow at full draw. When I'm pulling, I'm not necessarily thinking about pulling with my hands. I'm thinking about making that space stretch a little. So that way, when I do pull, I make sure that I'm pulling with the right action and it doesn't drag my pen out of the middle when I do something with my hands. Oftentimes, if you feel like you're pulling and your pen starts getting sharp when you begin to pull, that usually means you're pulling with hand strength rather than making distance with your elbows, right? So think of it like that. When you pull back, you are making distance between your elbows rather than pulling with your hands. So the sight pin will tell you if it's right. If you're watching your pen in the middle of the target and you're beginning to make that feel right here, right? When you're making that feel and your pen sort of tightens up and starts occupying less space, you know you got it right. But if your pen gets fast or if it moves out of the middle when you're trying to do this, you know you don't quite have it right. So watch your pen and be very aware of what it's doing while you're doing that. Often people try to use the lat muscle and pinch the shoulders down. That's not going to work out for you because that limits range of motion. You hear some coaches say you have to pin your shoulder blades together on your back, but that's incorrect because it limits range of motion. You can test this if you hold your elbows up like this and then pinch your shoulders together and then try to open your elbows. You see that you don't have any range of motion to do that. But if you just relax your shoulders and then open, you have plenty of range of motion there. So stand in the mirror, experiment. There's several different ways that you can connect your mind with relaxing that muscle and understanding what that feels like when it's right. Do it with just a piece of string or a stretchy band at first, and then move the feel over to your bow until you got it right. So that's the end of getting your shoulders right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.